Basically, the only thing I'm gonna do is to shorten all the branches because I don't want this tree to keep on growing forever.
Forget about sustainability, you want to enrich ecosystems.
Every being is equipped to live a positive, energetic balance.
Keep it pruned.
We are cultivating abundance.
Not a problem to cut down trees, the problem is not planting them.
What is up, YouTube? Welcome to the Agroforestry Academy channel. Today, as promised, I'm gonna talk to you a bit about pruning trees, and there are some other videos that we've made about this subject, but for me it's one of the most important techniques someone that wants to work with agroforestry needs to learn. So it is something that we're going to be revisiting every now and then. But before we start, this plot where I'm at is the plot that I worked on in the last video. So let's just, take a quick look to see what it looks like. So check it out. If you remember correctly, in the last video I weeded this place and I pruned some pigeon pea, and I said that the last thing that I needed to do was to prune the trees that are in the area. So one thing that I'd like to show you is the pigeon pea is already shooting new branches. I don't know if you can see it. I think well, you can see it. I don't think it's got a very good definition, but you can see it. Look, it's all full of new shoots. It's been 6 days. Alright guys, it's been 6 days only since I recorded this video. And the castor beans also is starting to release new shoots. The light does not help. Here you go. I think you can see this one here. There you go. This is perfect lighting. You can see the little red dot. There you go. That's the castor bean releasing a new shoot. I left a piece of the castor bean here. It still needs to be chopped down. So this is just to say it's a really quick response. These are the sorts of plant that you want as your service plants. Plants that are going to resprout really quickly. That's why some grasses are really amazing, because some grasses, after 15 days of cutting, if you do a clean cut, they already have grown, like another 20 centimeters or so. And the pigeon pea, the castor beans, they do take a little longer for them to be ready to prune again. Anywhere between 30 to 60 days, depending on the time of the year and how old they are. But you want these plants, right, that will respond promptly after sprouting. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna work on this plant here. All right, there are two trees together. They were already here when we started working on this plot. Since they had already a pretty thick trunk, thick enough for me to climb them, I decided not to prune them like this one, for example, that I pruned it really close to the ground. You can see there's a stump here, and I allowed it to resprout. These ones were pruned right on the top, so I allowed them to maintain their height. It's obviously producing more organic matter than this one, for example. They were pruned at the same time, like this one, that other one, and they're all the same species. It's called Camboata from the Sapindaceae family. Now, this one has produced a lot more organic matter because it is an adult tree, and I allowed it to maintain a few of its branches. So once you've got an adult tree, you don't want to be, if you want to maximize organic matter production, you want to prune it while maintaining its height, while maintaining its proper strata, right? The layer it occupies in the forest. And it's always good to maintain a few branches when you prune. You can prune it radically, but if you maintain a few branches, it's gonna be helpful for the tree to resprout. The camboata is a pretty strong regrower, and this other one to the side, I haven't yet identified this plant. Nobody here in the region seems to know the name of it, and I haven't identified it yet. It doesn't sprout so, it's not so vigorous as the camboata, but I might prune it as well. So I'm gonna guide you through the pruning of this plant, and I'm gonna do something different. And there are other videos of tree pruning where I would do a time lapse of the prune, but this time I'm actually gonna do it on real time. I'm gonna put the camera here. So one thing that somebody actually asked in the previous video, in the comments section, the person asked what sort of tools I use to prune the trees, if I use a ladder or if I climb, or how do I usually do it. The less equipment I need to prune a tree, the better. But of course, there are some trees that you're gonna need equipment, either a big ladder or some sort of climbing equipment. So the idea is make your trees prunable, as prunable as possible. You want to make your life easier. Right? You don't want to have huge trees on your field that they're going to take a lot of work to prune. And that's why I'm always talking about you should be pruning regularly. Don't allow your trees to go more than one season without pruning. You should be pruning them at least once a year in most climates. Here I'm actually pruning them usually twice a year whenever I have the means to. And I maintain them as low as possible. What's going to determine their height is the community of plants around, because each plant has to fill their own strata. I don't want them to be clogging up each other's spaces. So my emergent trees, they need to be above all the other plants. And I've got plants such as bananas, which have I can't control their height. They grow to a specific height, and that's it. There's not much I can do about it. I can't make them smaller. The variety of the banana tells the size of the banana. But with other plants, with trees specifically, I can work on their height. I've got, for example, some cashew trees here. Cashew plants can grow up to 12, 15 meters tall, but I'm gonna maintain them at 6 meters tall maximum. 5, that would be ideal. So this makes it safer for me to climb the trees or to use a ladder to climb them, and to prune them with just hand tools. Either a small chainsaw, those models that you can use them with one hand, but I use a chainsaw as little as possible. So I've got a decent quality handsaw, foldable. This is a small one. I had a bigger one, but I gave it away as a gift. So I need to buy a bigger one, because this one works well for thin branches, but when you're doing something bigger, it doesn't. But a good quality saw will do wonders. You don't need to be going up with a chainsaw on the trees. So the the secateurs, the pruning scissors, they're also indispensable. So you really want to buy quality one. Don't save on equipment, right? save up money and buy quality equipment. So, and then you've got the extension pruning tools, right? So you've got the saw with an extension pole. You've got the secateurs with extensive poles. I'm gonna ask Gennaro to do a video about that because he's got these tools. I don't have them here at my house. So, this helps to do this work from the ground. The less you have to climb the trees, the better. But if you do have to climb the trees, by all means, I personally believe that we're well equipped for that. I think our bodies are well equipped for that. Of course, you need to train. Don't do insane stuff. Be safe. You need a few things if you're gonna climb a tree. First, you need experience. And I've been climbing trees since I was a kid. And in the past 10 years, I've climbed lots and lots of trees. And I know each species. I know how resistant the wood is. I know which species can handle my weight and which cannot. I can assess that if the wood is properly healthy, if it's not damaged in any way. And I exercise. I'm pretty fit. I can work my way around the tree. It can be a pretty a pretty intense exercise to climb a tree and to keep yourself on the tree. So don't do anything silly. Just don't do anything silly. But I really encourage people to climb trees because it is an amazing exercise. I think it's a healthy thing to do. So if you feel comfortable doing it, do it. But of course, when you allow trees to reach really big heights, it gets more and more dangerous and sometimes impossible to do it without equipment. So, climbing equipment comes in handy. So without further ado, let's climb this baby. And this is one thing also to bear in mind is that, you should prune it in order to make it easier for you to climb the tree. So this one, for example, I left a lower branch here that will help me as I climb it because I can use it as a support for my foot. So as soon as I get here, one important idea is this: never put all of your weight on one limb. I always have ideally three limbs where I divide my weight on them. So right now, I've got my right foot on a pretty thin branch, but it's angled in such a way that it's pretty resistant. I'm making quite a bit of strength with my right hand to hold myself and not put too much weight on my right leg. And my left leg is supporting a little bit of my weight. Not much, but a little bit. So, right now I'm just making way for me to actually get up on the tree on the stronger branches. So right now I can safely come up here and hope that there's no wasp nest of any kind. Okay. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to really clean up my workspace because there's lots of branches here. I can't even stand properly. I'm gonna clean things up a bit. Check out the excess branches. Again, I'm always holding myself with using my hands so as not to puts too much weight on my feet. And my left foot, which is on a thinner branch, there's no weight whatsoever on it. You know, all my weight is in my right foot and in my hands. Right, so right now I cleaned up my workspace. I can position myself better. And what I want to do is, I had already done a pruning in this tree before. Like I've told you, this is the second pruning it receives, and I already limited its height. This is where I want the canopy to start, right where my hand is. So anything that is sprouting below it, I'm actually taking it out. So for example, this buddy here should come out. So I'm gonna get my saw and take it out because it's too thick for the secateurs. There you go. There's another one here. And there's another one that I'm stepping on. Right. Now, I'm going to work on the canopy of the tree. So, basically, the only thing I'm going to do is to shorten all the branches because I don't want this tree to keep on growing forever, to really tall height. So I'm going to eliminate some thinner branches, and the other branches, they're just going to be shortened. There you go. I'm going to take whatever has flowers in it because I don't want it to spend energy with flowers. I want to spend energy with new growth. This one that's going upwards, I'm taking it out as well because, like I said, I want to limit the height of the plant. Let me finish the work with the secateurs. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the side. So I'm going to limit the size of the upward branches, take out the flowering ones. There you go. This one here, it's unnecessary. I don't need two upward branches coming from the same place. So I'm going to take it out. There you go. So like I said, this one is coming out because it's going upwards. if you're using a saw, you never want to do the final cut of a branch. If I'm cutting like this from the up towards the bottom, I'm never holding, leaving my hand here. So right now I'm going to do that. I'm going to use another branch to hold my hand, with my hand, so that there's no chance of the saw slipping and holding my hand. That was close. Almost lost the saw. All right, and the last one will be this, because it's another one that's going upward. I don't need it. I can just take it out. Okay. And now to this side here. I'm gonna do pretty much the same thing. Take away the branches that are, going upwards to heights I don't want this tree to be in. There's another one here. There you go. And now I can shorten the remaining branches, making sure I take out all of the flowers. All right. Sounds about right. So what you can see is this. So I had already set up a structure for the tree that comprised of 1, 2, and 3 main branches. I had already set the height of the tree, where the canopy should start. And so I am maintaining, these 3 main branches, and I am allowing, a small number of lateral branches to remain, but these are all shortened, because there is a rule that basically the more you cut, the stronger the resprout is. So, I really take out most of the canopy. I want to take out like 90% of the canopy or so. This is for trees that I know that can withstand such pruning. Most trees do withstand it, but some will not. I usually try it and see what happens to decide. There was a tree to which I did that recently, a species I had never pruned, and it totally did not respond well. It's been already 2 months and it hasn't produced any new shoot. But you got to try things out. Now I'm gonna have to work on this other tree as well, but maybe not today. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I'm gonna say goodbye from the top of the tree. I hope you understood the concept, and make your trees manageable. Prune them regularly so that you never have excessive growth and excessive, really thick branches, because that's going to make it harder for you to prune them. The branches are going to get longer. They're going to ruin more plants that might be underneath the plant, the tree that you're pruning. Maintain an architecture that makes it easier for you to prune them. So just maintain them prunable. Consider not only the health of the plant, but the logistics of the pruning. How easy it's going to be for you to do it. All right, so now let's check out another situation. I've got this tree here, which is still small. It's not a mature tree, and what I want to do here is to conduce it. To take it to its proper layer, its proper strata, so that it doesn't clog up, the other plant's layer. So this is a plant that I'm not going to take out. I'm not going to be taking out the top. I'm not going to be topping it off. I'm actually going to be taking it upwards. So, it already produces some organic matter because, I'm going to thin out some branches, and I'm going to start creating the architecture that will make it easier for me to climb it in the future. So, for example, I'm going to allow some branches at about, 2.2, 2.5 meters from the ground. These are going to be the bottom branches because I can reach them from the ground. I can either reach them standing up, or I can jump and hold on to them so that I can start climbing them. And I'm going to start creating a bit of a ladder so that it's easier for me to climb it. So as a general rule, you never want to take out more than 2/3 of the branches of the plant when you are lifting its skirt. All right, this is a general rule. You want to clean the bottom 2/3 of the plant's trunk maximum. Right, that's a maximum. So like I said, this is 2.2 meters, so I can clean out any branch that's below this. So I think I can hold the camera while doing it. So I'm just gonna clean it up. This is gonna produce some nice a little bit of organic matter for my pineapples underneath here, and open up a bit more of sunlight. Okay, so what you can see here is that now this plant has it's got three, wow, amazing number of flies here. It's got three, it's divided in three, it's split into 3 branches. I'm just gonna let these 2 here, I'm gonna take out this other one. There you go. Now these branches here, these are already on a height that they might be useful for me once the tree grows bigger and I need to climb it. So I'm gonna leave it at that for now. I cleaned up quite a lot of its trunk, and I'm cleaning up also the place that might be used by my banana leaves, so that I can allow my banana to really take up its place, while not allowing this tree to clog up any of my main species. So remember when I said I hope there are no wasps up here? Well, check it out. Oh yeah, mama. You don't want to get stung by one of these babies. They're not the worst, but it's never good to get stung, right? I'm impressed. I mean, I don't know how they didn't get me. That was pretty miraculous. They should have been all over me, but they didn't. So I'm happy. Now the way to deal with this is to, ideally I need to cut the branch they are holding on to and carry it somewhere else. It's not easy to do that without them getting all over me, but I need to try, so I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna take you along with me on this ride. So first thing I'm gonna cut part of the branch because I don't want to lose the whole branch, and they're gonna get a bit unhappy with the noise and the bump. But I need to do it. Okay, they didn't get so unhappy, so that's good. Now I can just carry them very carefully to somewhere where they won't bother me. Don't worry, you guys are safe. It can't sting through the video. I better do this backwards. All right. Whew. That was fortunate.